Nursing students, time to talk. Welcome to the Real Talk School Nursing Podcast. I'm your good and faithful host, Michael Smith. I have a great show for you this week. Joining me today is the long-awaited Bessie V, BSN RN. We have had an absolutely hellacious time trying to get together with the ice storms, the winter storms, work schedules, and even a funeral. So I couldn't be more pleased that we've finally been able to get together. Also, as promised, listen for the end of the show as I'll announce the winner of this week's giveaway of the laser-etched 10-ounce stainless steel Yeti tumbler, the 18-ounce stainless Yeti Rambler bottle, and the 16-ounce thermos food jar. They turned out beautifully, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So, without further ado, let's get going. But first, our sponsor for this segment is none other than Burchum and Grossman's day-old countryside fish market. You know, we're all strapped for cash, but why spend your hard-earned money on fresh fish when you can spend less money on a slightly older fish? Let's be honest. Is a day-old fish sitting in the sun really that much different from a fresh-caught fish that's sold at oceanside markets? They certainly don't seem to think so. Some of the fish might be slightly older than today, but that just means it's discounted even more. Cook it over a campfire, and you'll never be able to tell the difference between necrosis and good old campfire char. So go down to Burchum and Grossman's day-old countryside fish market right across from the Sunset Motel and RV Park in Belle, Fourche. Mention the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast for a free basket of raw crustaceans. You can take them fresh, or just for $8 more, they can be shipped by the U.S. Postal Service. So stop down at Burchum and Grossman's day-old countryside fish market. Streetside parking and public bathrooms available for all paying customers. All right, well, here we go. Welcome to this very posh studio.
Thanks for having me.
So let's jump right into it. So first off, what brought you into nursing? Like what's your education background, and kind of tell your story, pre-nursing school.
My education pre-nursing school. Okay, well, I had gotten my bachelor's in biology and then got an internship with a zoo working with birds, which is completely different, obviously, and loved it, but didn't like the very minimum wage. And so then I got a lab position, which was not much better pay-wise, and the hours were even worse. And I wasn't happy. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't feel like I was contributing at all to the world, and kind of had a heart-to-heart with my mom and talked about my grandma, who was a nurse, and she just kind of told me, you know what, you always have reminded me of your grandma, and I think nursing would be an excellent fit for you. So I went to nursing school.
So there's did you have like any indication prior to applying to nursing school what it was going to be like? Like what's the background, like what brought you to nursing from a life, not from an educational standpoint, but from because you have family members. You had a grandma who was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And then
my dad is a physician and never wanted any of us kids to be physicians because he always felt like he didn't get enough time with us growing up because he was always working, which is fair. But I mean, who doesn't in healthcare? And I'm a very compassionate person, so it just kind of felt better for me, making a better connection with the patients as a nurse than a physician would.
Physician or provider.
Mm-hmm.
So nursing school can be interesting, but it seems like there's some universal things, and without getting down into the grit of it too far, what was like the best part or your favorite part of being through nursing school, or going through nursing school? What was a positive facet? That
would I think everyone in my classes. It was nice to see all these people that wanted to dedicate their lives to making other people feel better. That was incredible to see and incredible to watch everyone grow, basically, as people.
So, every nursing student thinks that their program is the worst. The worst one. It's just, it can't be any worse than mine. And you and I had corresponded a lot while we were both in nursing school at the same time. And I swear, like, there was a bunch of times where you and I are talking, and I swear you'd be talking about it and be like, gosh, are you in my program? Like, but you're in a completely different state and a completely different program. And I think there's a singular thing. I mean, each program is different, but there's a singular thing that I think we can all agree on, is that nursing school is really tough. So what was the biggest challenge or the strangest thing, or, the toughest thing about your nursing school experience?
Well, the curriculum is always changing, I feel, for nursing school, because technology advances and we all have to learn new things every single, 6 months to a year when something new comes out or a new, standard of care comes out. And so the schools and instructors are trying to keep up with that as well. But my class definitely felt like the guinea pigs for stuff. They'd set something up for us and we were like, this is ridiculous. No one has time to do 500 hours of required reading and then test prep and,
clinical.
Yes, just everything on top of it. But
you're how close was your school to your clinical site?
Blocks, 3 blocks away.
So lucky.
Yeah. Well, for any hospital setting, not community health, none of that. But
what about did you have was all of your clinicals at the same hospital?
Yes, except for preceptor, you could request to be closer to where you lived, but you had to get it approved.
Okay. Okay, so you did kind of have a weird graduation.
Yeah.
A little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It says anticlimactic
Yes.
end to your nursing program.
Yeah, because they only do one a year.
One what?
One graduation ceremony, one pinning ceremony a year.
Okay.
And there was 3 graduating classes every year, 2 or 3. And so I graduated in August, but our ceremony was in May. And to me, that made 0 sense because, hey, we still have a full semester left. I don't know if I'm going to pass, how everyone feels in nursing school.
But you're pinned.
But you're pinned and you walk the line. That was absolutely ridiculous.
And you felt pressure all the way up to the end. Like how many... Even now, I'm in my last term, and even now, I'm 99 and 44 100% sure that I'm gonna make it to the end and stuff like that. But still, that kind of inner voice goes, oh, "Don't screw this up. You could still screw this up." It goes all the way to the end. That pressure never ceases.
Yep.
So you graduated, and then you moved states.
Yes.
Which I think there's a couple of people in my class who are doing the same thing. They're graduating and then they are moving on. Mm-hmm. So what was that like?
A little scary because we had an in-service day where they talked about the NCLEX and here's all the papers you need to fill out and then send it to our state board and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there excuse me, I'm not going to be here. And my state didn't have the, what's it called?
Reciprocity?
Reciprocity, thank you. So I couldn't take it where I went to school and then move and have my license. So
if you were moving, could you have taken the NCLEX? Because it's a national board.
It is. And some states have reciprocity, but the one that I currently live in does not. Yeah. They're
nothing like neighboring states
exactly
not coordinating with each other.
Exactly. There are a good handful, like I don't know, 20 or so. And I know they're trying to get more states to join, but how well does that ever work?
So I remember you talking about like there was a delay. Like, what was the delay? What was the cause of the delay?
Well, I had to, you have to wait for your school to send your transcripts, and I had to contact a specific, I don't even remember what their job title was, to get that transcript sent to my state, my current living state now. And then had to be, you have to be fingerprinted, and you can get fingerprinted in any state and then send it. Ouch.
But it just has to go to
the
whatever,
proper state.
the proper state board of nursing or whatever.
And then they have to get all your information and then approve it and do your background check and everything. And I think
So was that the delay? Was that just trying to coordinate between the two states to get?
Yeah, it was just making sure they had everything. So, and just being up on it, like checking to make sure, like you make an account in the state that you're going to test in, and just making sure like it'll be a check mark. Oh yeah, we got your transcript. Oh yeah, we got your fingerprints. Okay. You're approved, and then they should notify you, okay, now you're ready to sign up to take the NCLEX.
Okay.
So
what's so you set up a study plan. You didn't know when this delay was going to end.
Yeah.
Most people, it seems like, plan between 4 and 6 weeks. So what was your initial plan?
Take it as soon as possible, definitely. Just because in school they train you for NCLEX testing. Mm. It's not the real world. And they know that. NCLEX knows that. It's not a perfect world. But, yeah, basically setting up a 6 out of 7 day study program. And then...
But did you take like a battery test prior to kind of see like you're weak in this area, strong in this area, and then you can concentrate where you're studying? Or did you just do like broad stroke, broad brush, do everything?
Well, every semester with our classes, we had to take a HESI test.
Yep.
So you could see in those areas the concentration of, med-surg. What in med-surg are you not strong in? Like the fundamentals, the pharmacology, the cares, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I went off a lot on that just because med-surg was not my strong point, and neither was peds. So you always focus on the ones that you hate, because those are the ones you usually are not good at.
Right.
So start with those for sure.
So how long did you have a plan to do that 6 out of 7 day study plan?
Well, and up until 2 weeks before, whenever my NCLEX was going to be set up. Because then once those 2 weeks happened, then it was question time.
So you did studying, but you didn't do like the 200 questions a day or whatever. Mm-mm. So you didn't do that the whole time?
Nope.
Okay.
I did the questions for the 2 weeks.
So was that part of like did you have a did you go through HESI or ATI or something like that? Is that a normal part of that plan?
Yep,
okay.
That's how HESI sets up your study progression.
Okay. So how long until you were able to register to test?
I think it was like 2 weeks.
So from graduation, it took 2 weeks before you could register?
Yes.
And then what? Happened?
Because then once you're able to register, then you get to see the available calendar for the testing location you've selected, because in my state there's 3 testing locations, and I chose the one closest to where I live. And there was like one date available in September that I knew I couldn't take, and then a few in October still open. And so then I just had to work it around my schedule, what seemed right for me.
So you finally got the letter, and you had already been studying for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to wait another, how long was it between when you got the letter and scheduled the test and your actual test?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Jeez. It just seems forever.
It was. Yes.
So how did you your original plan was to study 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, and it turned into 8 with a dash of disappointment. So go through what your plan was, like so you said 6 out of 7 days. So what was your schedule on a normal study day in one of the 6 days?
So the 6 days were broken up into categories. So there was, Monday was mental health, Tuesday was peds, Wednesday was mom baby, Thursday, Friday, med surg, and then Saturday was community health. So I focused on that one category for a full day, and then the next day I'd move on to a different topic.
So how many hours per day were you doing? Were you studying?
My plan was 2 hours on, 1 hour off.
Okay. So scheduled breaks and stuff like that?
Yes, definitely scheduled breaks. Otherwise, your brain just gets fried. And there were some days that I didn't study at all because I was just so done and didn't want to think about it, and still obviously stressed out. And also some days that I had other things going on. You have to be realistic if you're working, if you have big plans like family events or friend events. Makes sense, but plan for that, obviously, and then really focus on the other days.
So how did you make sure that you stayed really focused during those 2 hours? I talk a lot about setting up a space that is dedicated to writing papers and studying and stuff like that. Did you how did it work best for you? Did you have just an area that was just for studying?
Yeah, I just stuck to my room. I was like a little gremlin. I didn't leave it for hours on end, and I would just spread out all my books and papers on my bed and just sit there and focus, I have 2 dogs, so they were constantly loving on me, so it was kind of like, okay, go away, go lay down, leave me alone.
Put the phone away.
But yeah, I threw my phone in the hallway a lot of days because it was just like, it becomes, you just grab it. You don't even think about it. So if it's not in the room, you don't grab it.
Yeah. I do that. I catch myself all the time where I'll be sitting here and I'm waiting for something to load or whatever, and I just reach over and I grab it, and watching videos on Facebook or something like that, and all of a sudden I look up and it's 45 minutes later.
Exactly. So
that's a big thing for me is turn it on silent, put it out of the room. It's a big thing. So 8 weeks is a long time. So how did you, what are other considerations that you had for planning to last through those 8 weeks?
What do you mean?
Well, how did you stay motivated? It's a long time to sustain that kind of schedule, even with a 2 hour on, 1 hour off schedule and stuff like that. You got into week 5 and you're just were you constantly looking at the test dates to see if stuff opens so you could do it sooner, or you were just nope?
No, because once you have it set up, you're locked in to that.
Well, I thought you could do it sooner. I thought if something opened up, you could reschedule it for sooner.
Oh, I guess I didn't know that. But there wasn't really anything available for me. There was only one day in September, and I had already made plans on that date, so I wasn't going to mess with it, and then gave myself a couple more weeks into October to really focus on questions.
Sponsoring this segment of the Real Talk School Nursing podcast is NRSNG.com. Go to the Real Talk School Nursing Facebook page or Twitter feed and click on the link to get your $1 trial. I found NRSNG.com as a first-year nursing student, did my trial, and was hooked. Since then, NRSNG.com has added tons of great content and continues to add more. NRSNG.com is a complete education platform for nurses and nursing students and includes audio and video courses, cheat sheets for referencing information quickly and easily, a mobile app, a huge question bank, and a solid SimPlex. NRSNG.com is a complete solution. Not just preparing students for a test, NRSNG.com provides a home base that members can reference anytime as a nurse. Go to the Real Talk School Nursing Facebook page or Twitter feed, click on the link to get your $1 trial. That's NRSNG.com, and don't forget to use the link on the Real Talk School of Nursing Facebook page or Twitter feed. All right, so we're back. So the day before the NCLEX, so you'd been through 8 weeks or 7 weeks and 6 days or however long it was. So the day before the NCLEX, what did you do?
Well, I drove to the testing facility. That was something that they recommended to us just because you are so stressed out by this point and you're freaking out. So just going to the location and looking at it kind of, it really calmed me down, and it was a great recommendation. And I didn't do anything else that day. I was staying with family the night before just because it was closer. I didn't have to drive as much in the morning, but I didn't look at any material. I didn't answer any questions. It was a day for just me to not think.
Did you go get your nails done or something? I don't know.
They recommend that, do something for yourself, do something that'll calm you down and de-stress. And I had thought about it, and I was like, I honestly don't think that'll help. Just not having to think. I think I watched some TV and that was about it.
So the night prior, talk me through like what was going through your mind and kind of like, so you had all day, but now it's the night prior. Like where were you? Like what was the night prior like, trying to sleep and like, a couple hours before you're trying to go to sleep?
Oh, well, I honestly don't know if I slept very much at all. Test anxiety and everything like that. But definitely try, if you take melatonin or whatever, try. Just make sure you have plenty of alarms set in the morning. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Just try to get a good night's sleep. Go to bed earlier than normal so that you might get some. It would be my recommendation. Was it really hard to like resist the temptation to go back and study more and stuff like that? Yeah, I had some pieces of paper that had like lab values written down, the normal ranges, and some little acronyms to help me, this is what you do in this instance. Just remember to BIP it or whatever your acronym is. And so I guess I did go over some of that stuff just because I thought it would help calm me down, but it didn't. It just made it worse. But, yeah, just be realistic. By that point, you know what you know. You're not going to know anymore. Get some sleep. So what time was your test at? My test was at 8 a.m.
Okay. And was it, so what time did you wake up? Morning of the NCLEX now. Oh. The sun's probably not even up.
No, I think it was like 5:30 or 6, because it was, I had not really slept. Then I was like, I should just get up. I got up, showered, got some breakfast and some coffee, and drove just because.
Don't overdo the caffeine.
Yeah, definitely don't overdo the caffeine. Don't get all jittery. Eat some protein. But I knew I was going to be driving into traffic, so I gave myself plenty of time, and I think I got there at like 7 a.m. and sat in my car for a while.
What was that like? Just wait that last
sitting
hour,
there,
just
just
that
like,
last hour.
Okay, well, I could close my eyes for a little bit and sleep, and I'm like, no, don't do that. But I was sitting there like, okay, no one's gone in there yet. And finally I go in there around like 7:20, 7:30, and there's already a line of people in there. So I'm like, oh, okay, people were probably here before me and got in or just didn't notice. But they let us in early to help get registered and everything in there faster. So I think I started the test before 8. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually talk about what that registration process is like, because it's not just you don't just go in and sit down and take your test. Like, you have to get searched and like talk through all that.
So we walk in and the front desk gives you like a little piece of paper that has directions and rules on it. So they make you read through that. And then you come up to the desk, give it back. They fingerprint you, and then they scan your palms as well. And I think they did it like 5 times. It's felt excessive. Like, okay, I feel like you've got it down. Let me move on to the next portion.
They fingerprinted you again?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they have their own little device where you sit and, measure. They do each finger, and then they do all 4 fingers, and then they do your palm.
So there's no chance that you can get a friend who's
no.
already taken it to take your NCLEX for you.
Definitely not. Don't even try.
Shoot.
And then they give you a locker. Yeah. Oh, they take your picture too. They have you sit and take your picture. So like
just once?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh cool, I'm looking great this morning. Please keep that on file. Just kidding. And then they give you a locker for all your stuff. But if you have any electronics, they make you put them in sealable bags that you can't open the entire time you're there. So, I mean, I didn't even bring in my cell phone or smartwatch because there's no point.
Yeah.
They're just going to make you seal it up. And then when you leave, they make sure it was still sealed. Because if it was broken and the seal was broken anyways, then they would throw out your test completely. So they do that, put your stuff away, and then you go on to the next desk person, and they pull up your picture, scan your fingerprints in your palms, make sure they match from the desk that's 5 feet away. But obviously I understand. And then they search you. They search your pockets. They search your hair. If you have long hair, they made me put my hair up, which I thought was ridiculous. One person had like a hoodie on, so they were searching through their hood, and they make you pull up your sleeves and roll up your pants and roll down your socks. I had feminine products in my pocket, and they said, absolutely not. Go put that in your locker. Can't have anything on you. And then they walk you into the testing room one by one, sit you down at a computer, and it has like blinders on both sides of you, and they give you a piece of paper, and then they pull up your account, and it has the picture that they just took of you, and you start.
Did they actually give you a piece of paper? Because there was some somebody who started or did a testing facility, they got like a whiteboard and a permanent marker.
Yeah, that was actually me that told you that. That was an instructor of mine that told us that was what we would be getting. But we got a piece of paper.
Okay.
You get one piece of paper. And I didn't even use mine, but that's just who I am. I know people that wrote down lab values, like the normals, just to write them down and have them in front of them.
I thought you couldn't do the brain dump thing or whatever, where you like get to the beginning and write a bunch of stuff down. I thought that was
I don't see why you couldn't. I don't know. That's what someone told me they did. I didn't even use mine. I totally forgot about it. Yeah. And then if you had to like use the restroom or take a break, you had to raise your hand, and the person would come into the room. They would log out your computer and then take you out and then fingerprint you, do the scan, let you go to the restroom, and you come back and you'd have to be fingerprinted again and walk back in and then re-logged in with your picture on the account.
So another good reason to not have like a lot of
8
caffeine.
8 billion things of caffeine, yeah.
bunch of diuretic on board.
Yeah.
So what was so was there cameras on the computer? Like what was
Yes,
what was all that?
everyone had a camera on them. So the person that led you in and out of the room was watching everyone on a big screen. Excuse me, sorry.
What was do you remember what your last question was?
No.
How long did it take you to get through?
Well, I really do think I started before 8. But I was done 8:30, 8:45. I'm a fast test taker, and I only had 75 questions and then the few, 20 to 30 minutes of practice questions afterwards for the next round of NCLEX takers. They practice questions on you at the end that don't count towards your
So
score.
you did 75 and then you had to do some more after that?
Yep, my screen shut down. Panic set in, and then they're like, oh, wait, you have to sit here for another 20, 30 minutes and try out this new way that we're going to maybe do the NCLEX. So, yeah, that was a great feeling.
Sounds awful.
It was.
Wait a minute.
It was definitely
That's already supposed to be
awful.
built into the 75.
Yes.
So, okay, do you remember any of the questions? Like, do you remember any of the ones you're like, oh my God, I don't know?
Yeah, there was one. I had one pharmacology question, and pharmacology is the worst subject for me. I'm really bad at knowing medications and everything, and it was like, what is this specific drug, I don't even remember the name because it was so obscure, do? And then it had 4 random things. I have no idea. Like, okay, well, definitely got that one wrong. But you just have to realize that there's going to be questions like that, and you just have to let it go while you're testing. You can't dwell on it. Because then you're 5 questions away and you're still thinking about it. You're not focused on what you need to be focused on.
Did you like do a, because I mean that's like a seriously fast test.
Mm-hmm.
I mean if you do, 75 questions in basically 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. So what was so the screen went blank. Seriously, like what went through your mind? Were you keeping track of the numbers?
Oh, there's a little counter on your top corner, so you know how many you've answered.
Did you look at that?
Yep.
Were you looking at that
I was
the whole
constantly looking at that. Like, oh, it's only been 20 questions. Oh my gosh, it feels like it's never gonna end. But yeah, when that screen shut down, instant panic. I was like, oh my God, I completely bombed it. I didn't feel confident in any of my answers. Just started, not hyperventilating, but very close to it. Oh my God, now I have to sit here for more questions that don't count towards anything for me.
Just click through them.
Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here.
Those things can't be a good measure for them if you're just like done, you've just finished it and now you're just like, just get me out of here, click, click, click. That can't be a good measure.
No. You'd think.
So it takes about 48 hours. So what were the next 2 days like? But by the way, I think I was like one of the first. Well, because I was on shift that day, so I texted you. I think maybe at 10 or something like that. It says give you enough time just in case you went beyond 75. Although if you went to 265, sounds like you'd be done in there in an hour and 15 minutes anyway. But.
Yeah. I mean, I was ending and people were asking to take breaks. Like, I remember catching one person's eye, like, waiting to go to the bathroom, and they were like, they just gave me this look of just absolute awe. Like, oh my God, you're done? I'm freaking out now. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out.
What was, so the first conversation that I had with you, maybe at 10 o'clock or whatever, you're like, when did it shut off? And you're like 75 questions. I'm sure I failed. I'm like, no, you didn't. But what was, I mean, because you and I had a conversation a couple days later about like, all the stats and stuff like that I've talked about a number of times on the show. But what was Like, what was it about the performance on your test that just had you absolutely sure that you had failed? And there was no, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Because I would say about 80 to 90% of my questions were select all that apply. And those are awful questions. Those are so bad. You know, you could have too many, you could have not enough. And I'm usually one of those. So I'm like, as I'm taking, I'm like, oh, great, another select all that apply. Oh, great, another select all that apply. And then we had been told that if you get a question wrong, that the way that the NCLEX is set up, it will try and question you about it again later. So I had a topic that I knew I had answered. It was a mom-baby question, and it was a select all apply, and then not like 4 questions later, I had almost the exact same question, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, great, I got that one wrong, so I'm probably going to get this one wrong, and in my head, I'm like, just answer it the same way, because I know it, and I feel like it's just trying to freak me out. I know it's not trying to freak you out, but yeah. It's just a lot of that kind of situation.
So you did having that stats conversation help? Because I mean,
yeah,
I think it was at the end of the first day or maybe the morning of the second day or something like that, and you were still pretty anxious.
At that point I was like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it now. If I have to take it again, I have to take it again. Yeah, that's going to suck to pay for it, but there's nothing I can do about it now. So we'll see what happens.
Did it help having that knowledge? Would it have helped you prior having that knowledge and going, okay, 90% of people passed, 75 questions, and this is how the test is set up, and like just having that kind of, just having a little bit of foresight, a little bit.
Honestly, I knew, like, with my school, I think we have, like, an 89 to 92% test success with the NCLEX.
For first time? Yeah,
for your first time. And I already knew that, but there's so much adrenaline pumping in your body doing that. And, like, by the time I got out of there, because they have to fingerprint you afterwards and then, make sure you are who you are and grab all your stuff to leave, I was walking out of the building and I was crying. Like, so much anxiety and adrenaline, just, everything just was like done, and
total adrenaline letdown afterwards and stuff like that.
Just crashed.
Sure. Real Talk of School Nursing.
All right, welcome back to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
Man, you could be a host. You're already better at this than I am. The schlub with a microphone. So, about what time frame did you pass your NCLEX?
It was Tuesday, I don't know, 15th, 16th of October. And then results come in about 48 hours online. And
did you check, like, the State Board of Nursing? Or did you actually get the email?
I checked the board.
You paid the $8 or whatever it was for early results?
Yes, I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I was actually planning on visiting grandparents that day, and I was like, I'm not going to do it because I was still convinced I didn't pass. So I was like, I'm not going to put a damper on this day. And then just thinking about it more and more, I was like, no, I have to look. I can't not know. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So when did you, and this might go a little bit earlier too, but like when did you start applying for jobs?
I applied for jobs pretty much when I was done with school. I know plenty of people started before, which I probably should have been doing, but
with the delay in the move and stuff like that, I'm sure that kind of put some different difficulties because when you, like, did you know where you were going to be moving and where you're going to be living?
No, not really. I mean, I knew the general area, and I didn't really know very much about the hospitals and clinics and setups in that area. So I just kind of did a broad sweep of applications.
Find out where you live when you get there?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. So how was the application process? Like what, because I've applied to a few places and they're all so different.
Mm-hmm.
So were there any tips or anything that you'd share, says you make sure to do this or make sure you have this already and stuff like that?
Well, obviously have your resume and cover letter, a basic cover letter set up that you can just change names out of. That's always handy. And send a cover letter. Definitely always send a cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it. And then there's, they have you submit those things, but then they ask you the same exact questions during their application process. Like, give us your school background. And in your head, you're like, just look at my resume. But type it up, do it with one application, and then copy and paste all of those answers into a Word document.
Mm-hmm.
And just save that so then future applications go a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother. Because they take a long time and it gets frustrating after a while being asked the same things over and over again.
How many places did you apply to?
I don't know. 10 to 15.
Okay. But you did eventually find a place?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of floor are you on? Like what are you doing?
Mostly my patients are stroke patients, but also combination of urology and dialysis in there as well.
What are some of the challenges of being a new nurse? Like how many weeks of orientation did you do?
Let's see. I had 18 orientation shifts. But I could request more. Something like I could have 18 to 25 shifts. And at, day 18, my assistant manager asked, how's it going? Do you think you need more? And I was like, no, let me go. I mean, it's scary. You have all of school and then all of this orientating where you have an actual nurse. Okay, I'm an actual nurse, but someone that's been doing it longer and knows them more, right behind you, and to just be let free is a little scary, but also sense of relief being able to do it too.
Mm-hmm. What's exciting? Or let's start with we'll end on the high note. So what's really hard about being a new nurse? Like what is it that you're finding most challenging?
Just getting into a rhythm of things. Like my mornings start off really well with my assessments and meds and everything, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on top of it. I am so far ahead, and then something goes awry with one patient, and I am so far behind.
You're stuck in a room for 2 hours.
Yes.
Transfer the patient from the bed to the chair with the lift and 3 other people, and it still takes an hour and a half.
Yes.
So what's exciting about it? Like what is it, like you're on a neuro floor,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's probably one of the hardest floors to be on.
Yes,
especially at a level 1
really difficult
trauma center. So like it's very challenging, but is there stuff that you're excited about?
Well, honestly, I get some more stroke education this month. I'm really excited about that because there's always new assessments and ways to be doing things with these patients. Mm-hmm. But it's also really exciting to see these patients advance and get better. I had one with right side completely flaccid, unable to do anything really on his right side, but he was able to bear weight the other day, and that was crazy. He hadn't been able to since his cerebral hemorrhage, but
so it was a hemorrhagic stroke.
Yes, so it was pretty bad.
Oof.
Yeah, but his family was in the room and they saw him do it. Oh my god, his mom cried. It was a good day and good feeling to be in there with him and see that.
So think back to like the very beginning of your nursing school journey. And I mean, like, did you have to do prereqs?
Well, I brought in so many since I had a
Biology degree.
yeah, I had a 4-year degree in the science, so I really didn't. I had like 2 classes that I had to do, like psych, abnormal psych, and
A lot of people have to do stats or something like that.
I had done stats. It was like molecular biology or something. It was really random biology class that I somehow didn't take in my
In your biology
4-year course.
So think back to, you know, like the 6 months prior to you starting nursing school and like the first 3 or 4 months of nursing school. So students who are just starting out on their journey, like what are some things that maybe that you wish you had known then that you know now?
Start focusing on pharmacology right away. Even if you haven't taken it yet, get the flashcards. I always recommend those. They're amazing. Can get them on Amazon for like $5. But just start learning them, because you're gonna have to know them the rest of your career. So
I would always like, I wish that I had started just learning the med classes, like the naming conventions, especially.
Yes,
like
that really helps.
You know, like learning all the medications. Like we got this book from Kaplan, and the guy who gave it to us, the Kaplan rep, he says, you know, NCLEX RN drug guide, 300 medications you'll need to know for the exam. And is it possible to learn 300 medications? Yeah, probably over a period
of lifetime.
Probably over a lifetime. But I think it's probably more, you know, it's probably more useful to understand like the classes. So beta blockers, you know, and the naming conventions for it, you know, OLOL, the statins and stuff like that. So if you see a drug and it's simvastatin and you have no idea what simvastatin is and what are the effects of that, you don't have like a brain aneurysm, you know, trying to do mental backflips. You just, it's a statin. Okay, I got it. Or the anticonvulsant medications, they all have the same nursing considerations or very basically, but no, that's a good one.
And also don't go into it thinking this is exactly what I'm going to do. There are so many people that start nursing school going, I'm going to be an OB, you know, baby nurse. Then you have that clinical and you're like, oh, wait, nope. I don't want to do this.
I was really
Keep
surprised.
an open mind, for sure.
I was really surprised. We had, for the last term, we had just finished all of our preceptors. It was the first class that we were all together again as a group because we were so split up after that. And I remember we're all sitting there and not all of them, obviously, but there was a bunch of them. There was a bunch of my classmates who, they did maternity OB or, you know, labor and delivery or, you know, whatever it is, you know, and they're just like, yeah, no, I think I'm going to psych.
Yeah.
Like,
complete flip.
Wow. That's, you know, but and they were 100% sure the whole time that they were going to go to labor and delivery or, you know, postpartum or, you know, whatever it was. And there's a few of us who've pretty much stuck to our guns, like, nope, this is where I want to go. But yeah, that's keep an open mind
and be realistic. There might not be a job posting in that when you graduate, so you might have to start off on a different floor or in a different area. And every floor has its advantages and disadvantages, and you'll learn a lot no matter where you go.
So students who are in the last year or last semester, any things as you're on kind of the downslope side rather than the upslope side of the nursing journey?
Yeah.
I may be listening very attentively to this question, to this answer.
The definite recommendation for NCLEX prep questions is the app UWorld. Okay. Almost Everyone in my class used it and loved it. If you got to spend a few bucks to have the app, just think it's that much less money that you'd have to spend on taking it again. So definitely recommend that. Take some days when you're done with school to be with family and friends. Take a vacation, shut off your brain for a little bit, and then really focus hard on your NCLEX and passing that the first time.
Any final advice? So, because it's February now, so for most people they're going to be graduating in May and stuff like that. So for the people who are listening ahead, what for those who are getting ready to take the NCLEX, final advice for prior to NCLEX?
Well, just realize you're not going to know everything before you go in. This is the way NCLEX is set up, is to make sure that when you get out in the real world of nursing, you won't kill anybody. So
it's a lofty goal some days.
Yeah. Yeah. But so don't dwell on things. Let things go while you're taking it, or even beforehand studying. If you really don't get something, try and focus on it, but then next day move on to a different topic. For sure.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's been
an adventure trying to
an
get
adventure. In here. No kidding. Like every single time we try to get together, it's there's an ice storm and you can't even walk down your own driveway or get up your own driveway.
Yeah, tell me about it. Those are my days off. Oh, guess I'm spending them at home.
Groceries.
Shoveling.
Yeah, shoveling and spreading salt that doesn't even stick to the ice. Yeah, so I just appreciate you coming out, and hopefully we'll see you again, and good luck in the future.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, guys, here's the deal. If you get your name drawn this week, you get your pick of the 10-ounce Yeti tumbler, the 16-ounce thermos, and the 18-ounce Yeti Rambler bottle. You have to email the show, realtalknursing@gmail.com, or using the Facebook page, go to the messenger. Let me know which prize you want, give me your address, and I'll send it out to you the same day you write back into the show and let me know. Also, this coming week, I'll do another giveaway with the remaining 2 items, so look for the post this coming week. Remember, like the page and share the post. You can't just like the post. That doesn't enter you into win. And if you have your privacy set up pretty high, I'm not going to ask you to change your privacy. That's way above, that's way outside of the league of reasonableness. So, but if you do have it set up high, I won't be able to see that you've shared the post, which means I won't know to put your name in for the drawing. So tag us or send me a screenshot of the post on your page or something like that. Just make sure that you've also liked the page. So lastly, thank you so much for liking the page. Thank you very much for sharing the post. It really means a lot to me that you're spending your valuable time with us on the podcast and on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram too. Don't forget Ben and Greg's show, the Shift Report podcast, which you can find wherever you download podcasts, and they too are on Instagram. Lots of funny stuff coming through them. Okay, without further ado, where's my drawing box here? Without further ado, let's mix it up. All right. And here we go. All right, so I'm not going to look at it until I read it. All right, here we go. So, Joshua Scarcella, probably slaughtering that. But Josh, please write in, and when you get your Yeti or your thermos, once you let me know what you want, snap a picture of you with your Real Talk School of Nursing merchandise and share it with us. And congratulations. Thanks so much for listening, and let's keep going. It was awesome chatting with you. I had a lot of fun today, and I'm really excited to keep this podcast rolling. Getting through nursing school isn't just about content. So if you like the podcast, smash that subscribe button. And remember to leave only 5-star reviews, because that's the only rating that counts to get us noticed by more nursing students. So go to wherever you download podcasts. Subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show. realtalknursing@gmail.com or on Facebook Messenger, Twitter, Instagram, or all of the above. And please share the show with other nursing students. The podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. We've covered all the bases. Links to listen are sent over Facebook and Twitter, so share them with your classmates. More listeners means better content. And if you haven't turned off the podcast already, you know I need more help. Remember, in nursing school, the only easy day was yesterday, but we can get through this together. Facta non verba. This Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a BKD production, produced by BKD. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory to Doc Thompson. To his wife and family, my continued prayers and support. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Good night, Steve Cannon, wherever you are. On Young. Now, you go home. The Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a holy moly, I can't believe you're still listening to this podcast.